UFC 280. We've got Oliveira versus Makhachev, Sterling versus Dillashaw, OMalley versus Yan. Can we get any deeper than that in just the final three fights? Like, come on. Still with the main card, we've got Dariush versus Garmat and some other women's fight that I'm not going to even try and say their names because they're just not. Nope, I'm just kidding. We've got Chahagan versus Farut. At least I think I'm saying that. It's kind of France. Not 100%. Starting off with the big boys, we're going to start from the top and work our way down, all right? So starting off with the big boys, we've got Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu versus Russian wrestling. And not just Dagestan wrestling, all right? I'm not really sure where Dagestan is in Russia, but I think it's somewhere really where it's really freaking cold, all right? I'm going to have to side with Makhachev. He's got the home court advantage. He's got all the fans cheering for him. He's an he's not even up and coming. He's a pretty good fighter. He's probably been fighting his whole entire life. It's not like he's inexperienced. He's probably had thousands and thousands of rounds on the mat. I just think when it comes to an upset, this is the one that I know we got real lucky with the Usman and Edwards fight when Edwards got it at the final minute. But I think we might have another upset here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think Oliveira has a perfect capability to win as well. I think he's just as good of a fighter. But I think really with that home court advantage of being in Abu Dhabi, I got to side with Islam. I just have to. What can I say? Moving on to fight number 2. In corner 1, we have Aljamain Sterling. In corner 2, TJ Dillashaw. This is one I'm a big fan of because I'm not the biggest fan of Aljamain Sterling. I was actually at first until he got the title and was a little... When you cry about it in the ring and say and leave the belt there and you give the impression like I didn't win this with honor, I'm not gonna act like the champion, and then goes and acts like a champion. Like, don't be questioning why people are hating you. I think it's pretty evident why people would. Now, he did go back out there and beat Petr Yan the second time, but the first fight I would have went in the decision if Petr Yan didn't do the knee. Now, I don't know if I'm saying Piotr or Peter. I don't really know. I've heard it both ways. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with TJ Dillashaw on this one. Honestly, I just have always been a fan of TJ Dillashaw. When I first got into fighting 5 years ago, TJ Dillashaw was the champ. I remember my buddy Steven saying, bro, this guy TJ Dillashaw is different. Started watching him beat Cody Garbrandt twice, which I thought was pretty freaking amazing, honestly. Like, the way he did it was just crazy. The wars they had were crazy. And then he still went on to even try and fight Henry Cejudo after that. And yeah, I honestly think, you know, I've heard from people, I haven't heard, but I've heard on podcasts from people around him that hang out with him that it was really just for that weight cut. Now, I'm not in his corner. I do not know. But I do think that people do have the chance to redeem themselves. And this would be the best redemption story I think anyone could ask for. Like, especially, he's saying, bro, come and test me if you want to test me. Like, let's go. I think he had a chance to learn from this, and I think he has learned from it. If you look at the stuff he's done outside of the sport during that time period, I think he really grew as a person. And, you know, there's nothing more, especially when you have your kid like right there, you want to set a good example, and I think you have to think of that. So I think, you know, I'm really a big fan of TJ Dillashaw right now, and I really got my money on him with that fight. And that's coming from a fan. I was a fan of Aljamain. I really was. I was a big fan of his grappling until that whole title stuff. And once again, I really do think TJ's skills can match up to Aljamain's grappling as well. But I think where TJ is going to... If Aljamain tries to grapple with TJ is not going to be on the ground for a while because he knows his stand-up game is way better than Aljamain's. It's just that freaking simple. Aljamain, I think, does have a chance if it goes the distance because TJ probably hasn't been experienced, not experienced, but, you know, there's that ring rust, but maybe that ring, and I know he hasn't been in the ring for too long, but I don't think he's had a 5-round fight yet, and I think that, having a couple 3-round fights and maybe getting used to that, maybe going back to that 5-round fight might be a little bit of a game changer. But I think I got TJ all the way. Even if it goes 5 rounds, I'll put my money on TJ. But if Aljamain were to win, I think it would be if it were to go all 5 rounds. Fight number 3. Now this one is basically winner of this one fights the winner of the last one that we just talked about. So we've got OMalley versus Yan, and the winner of this will fight the winner of Sterling versus Dillashaw. Now, this one I think is really hard for me because I've been a fan of OMalley my whole fighting career, basically, since he started on the Contender Series. And I've been a big fan of Petr Yan as well since I've watched his past fights. Because I just think he's a total savage. He will go all out, and he's just like a little firecracker. I almost feel, not like a little firecracker, but he's a small 155-pound guy compared to OMalley, but the power he has in his fist is just, I think, unmatched to anyone at his height. And that's just why I said a little firecracker. But because it's a little small coming out, but then boom! You're not expecting it, all right? So when it comes to this one, I'm really going to have to side with Yan, I think. Not only does Yan have the experience with 5-round fights, championship fights where the pressure is on, he's also now in Abu Dhabi, so I'm sure he's going to have a lot more of a backing here. And I really think that this is OMalley getting thrown to the dogs. People were saying he wasn't thrown to the dogs. He got a draw in his last fight, which was a top 10 person, and I'm pretty sure he was ranked 10. So, and that was his first time, so it's really his first time getting that level up, and he comes with a draw. I don't really think he has that ground game, especially for Yan, if Yan gets him to the ground. That's my opinion. OMalley definitely has striking, but Yan also does as well. And if Yan gets in there, OMalley can get... We haven't seen OMalley get really put into a time of danger. He wasn't put in danger in a fight. He hasn't been cracked. He hasn't been on the ground, grappled. And I think this fight is his loss, where he's going to learn from Petr Yan. He's going to learn about his weaknesses in his game, because he has one loss technically, and I'm pretty sure that was the one where it should have been a no contest in my opinion, but it was technically a TKO because he couldn't prolong the fight anymore because of his foot. But I really think that this is his learning curve that's going to happen to him, especially because he really didn't come to he didn't come to the occasion on the last fight he had with the top. I want to say it was Pedro Munoz. So his last fight, UFC 276, that was OMalley versus Munoz, and it ended up coming to no contest. It was a draw. So I really got to put my money off to Petr Yan. He's just the more experienced fighter, and I think he's been put in more situations where he has to come from behind, or he has to figure a way out, or just a lot more. He's faced a lot more challenges in the octagon, especially under their championship types of fights. Going on to the final men's fight of the night. We've got Beneil Dariush versus, I'm not gonna pronounce this right, but Matez Garmat. I think I said that right. Not too sure. I think that's how I heard it on the press conferences. But this one, I don't really know much about Garmat, but I really think these guys are pretty equal. If I'm going to put my money on someone, it's probably going to go with Dariush. Dariush, I think, has that American wrestling that is just always good to have in your back pocket, because when it comes to, if you get caught in a situation, you always have the chance to take them down, and if you're the more experienced fighter that's grappling, you're going to be able to know when you can actually put someone in kind of a stalling situation so you can regain some energy if you were put in a place of trouble. Let's say, Matez knocks Dariush and he's stunned for a good 10 seconds and then goes for a takedown, and while he's just in the scramble, just slowly regaining from that stun. I think that's where Dariush can have the advantage. Once again, I'm not too sure of what Mateza Garmat's background is in fighting. I don't really know his main. Usually every fighter has a main thing they start in, and then they get into mixed martial arts. So I'm going to have to side with Dariush just because I know more of his background. But that's not the only reason. Once again, that's if I were to put my money on it. I really think these guys, this is going to be a close one, I think. I think this one is going to go all 3 rounds. It's going to really start the card off right. But when it comes to who wins, I think it can be thrown up to anyone. But, I just got to side with the American wrestling. That's just me. I was an American wrestler, not college or anything, but that's my background, so that's just where I'm going to side with. Moving on to the final fight or not the final. I say the final fight of the night, but it's the final fight that we're going to review, but it's the first fight of the main card, which is Caitlyn Chahagan versus Manon Fiorot. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I added some accent, Fiorot. But she's French. Caitlyn is American. So when it comes to this one, I gotta go with Chahagan because I've heard a lot of buzz over her. But at the same time, I looked at Fiorot's last fights, and she outstruck the girl by, I think it was like 50 to 120. So if she's also on a 9-fight win streak. I don't think she's lost at all. Let me actually check that out real quick. So she has lost 1. So I don't know when that was because she's on a 9-fight win streak. So unless she lost her first fight, which being under pressure in your first professional fight, I've heard from a lot of different fighters, the nerves can be a little wacky and your head might just not be in the right place for that first fight compared to the rest of your fights after that. So I'm going to have to go with Chahagan. She's ranked number 1 compared to a ranked 6. So I think that if she loses here, then that's going to be a real big upset, I think. Chahagan, I think if she wins this, she might be fighting for the title next. I don't know if she will or not, but, number 1 versus number 6, how many other people is she going to fight before she fights for the title? So I think Chahagan's got it, but we will see. So that is going to be it for the UFC 280 fight predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is the Kevin Hoops Show. We're going to be doing a live stream at twitch.tv/hoopskj at 2 o'clock. Tune in at 1:30 if you want to tune in for the pre-show. We are going to be doing a watch party just around here watching the fights. It is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you're in the Pacific, that's 11 o'clock a.m. So tune in, be there, or be square. We're going to watch the fights here. You guys watch the fights along on your big screen. Put us up on Twitch. Put us up on your computer. Have us on your computer on both screens. Do what you got to do to tune in. All right? If you don't want to buy the fight, just tune into the watch party. Simple as that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that. Tell me your predictions. Give them to me. Let me know who you think is going to win. And don't forget twitch.tv/hoopskj. Link will be in the description. Go follow that channel as well. You will be notified when the stream goes live. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, have a great fucking day.